I'm Trek with 2Ks. I'm Trek with 2Ks. Alrighty. Hola, buenos dias, buenos noches, buenos tardes, GnGs. My name is Trek with 2Ks, and right now I'm trying to figure out what is going on with this audio delay that I'm getting, and I don't know where it's coming. Is- All right. Anything now? This is stupid. I'm highly annoyed right now. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna have to get over myself. I sure shit don't know what the thing is, but anywho, yeah, it's a Monday, and things are what they are right now. Um, this whole Iran situation is happening. I have thoughts, but all right. So, all right, we're gonna do this. How does it sound right now? Like, am I crazy low? I wonder if that was okay. So that was doing that. Um, like I said, it's a Monday. The weekend has, if you have been under a rock, has just been crazy. Um, I don't even know where to like begin with it. Just for I had a good weekend. Like I was over here, like all right. If you've been following the channel and the network for a minute, you already know X amount of this is gang. As far as like me and King and like a couple other people who are in this gentleman the crypto network thing, right? Um, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go into this weekend. We're just gonna focus on like connecting with people, having a good time, and go from there. So like one of my battles, he had a picnic, and the picnic thing at his place. Um, it was more of a Juneteenth celebration, and it was cool. Smoked a cigar, met this one dude that was like a DC cop, had the crazy life story. What's going on, Bobby T and Prospector? Thank you very much. I appreciate your help, bro. I don't. I'm an assumption on your bro, but I appreciate the help nonetheless. Sorry. Um, and I was just enjoying just being out. Like the weather was definitely great to be out this weekend. Granted, it was humid as a mofo out here in the DMV area. But it was what Saturday was like the quote first day of summer. Um, and I enjoyed that company, hung out, did that, had good conversation, ate some good food. My homeboy is a beast in the kitchen. So like all of the stuff that he put out was top notch. He put his foot in it, all of it, from the three different kind of ribs, the four different types of chickens, um, the potato salad. He did some corn drink, but I'm getting off on a tangent, right? The food was good, the company was good, and then I went and hung out with another friend of mine. We just talk about life stuff, and then Sunday went out, hung out with somebody else. That was cool too. Learned some things, and You know what's funny about when you be having like just conversations with people, and especially if it's people who are like um have had some amount of similar experiences, there are things that you can bring up and like find somebody who relates to it because they've had similar experiences. But you'll have the moment where like you start to have something make more sense now in this conversation that is like years past the particular event that you had. And you're just like, oh snap, I didn't think of that until right now. Case in point, I had two particular conversations, or really three particular conversations from like Thursday to yesterday that had me realizing certain things that were going on back in the day when I first came off of my first deployment, how I was dealing with the transition, and then just like realizing that like I wasn't the only one. But at the time when I was seeing my other battles going through what they was going through, I wasn't realizing and putting into, I guess, better context of what was going on, because I didn't even know what was going on with me at the time, right? But like it's like the living you learn kind of thing, and I appreciate the folks who take the time to actually have conversations with me. um Granted, X amount of that, you know, you could argue is like the whole trauma bonding thing, but like sometimes it really does help to say these things out loud, and then they start clicking and making more sense to you way after the fact. Like literally way after the fact. I'm talking like years after the fact. Literally was talking about some particular like experience that I had on a mission where like I can laugh my ass off about it now. Literally can make a joke about being like looking like powdered donuts, but it could have went a whole different way. Like would have never made it out of country. Would have never made it back to post. But here we are now, right? So anywho, let's get into this crypto stuff. As y'all know, I don't do price talk. I'm not a tell you where to put your money or your funds or anything like that. I'm just some guy on the internet who has been around this space for a while, and I kind of got this unk status thing going on where I've seen enough of the ups and downs and the ins and outs and the grifters and the non-grifters and like, you know, the loyalists or the non-loyalists or whatever. And so there are things when I look through Twitter now that like scratch my brain. And it's just like, wow, who would have thought of that? Didn't see that coming. And lo and behold, like here we are. So let's jump into this first one. This is by, no, that is not even the one I wanted. Why did you do that? Move over. There we go. All right. So On Chain did this first post right here. Where you at? Yeah. Everything that you need to know about Bitcoin IRAs. Now, I'm not going to be the one to tell you go and do the Bitcoin or go and do whatever other thing you want to do in this crypto space, but I would encourage people who are trying to figure out how to do, you know, their maintaining or at least establishing some kind of financial or wealth base, and if crypto is involved in it, you know, it'd be something worth taking a look into. Like you got to definitely do your due diligence, because now that we're getting more into this adoption of crypto into the mainstream financial sector, how do you think it's going to work when you have probate because your family member passed and like no one knew what their crypto wallet was, or y'all knew what the crypto wallet was, y'all knew how to operate the wallet, but then when you try to do stuff, it was like, well, we don't know where those funds came from, or like we don't know how to convert it into a more usable financial instrument for you to try to deal with like the funeral or the passing stuff on to the kids. Like things like that matter, which is also funny that this particular post showed up because there's another one. Oh, I'm gonna get to this joint too about this Genesis thing, but as you saw in the headliner, I had a thing that said like CZ has a good idea. I'm actually surprised. And if you see this post, it says Binance founder, which is funny that they don't say former Binance founder because he's not a part of the founding thing anymore. But anywho, whatever. Binance founder says every crypto platform should have a will function, so assets can be passed on where users are no long when the users are no longer around. He also calls for miners to be allowed to have accounts to receive funds. Interesting idea on the miner part too. But if you know anything about how these traditional finance platforms work, so Charles Schwab, Fidelity, I'm not actually sure if Robinhood has that particular feature, but they have a thing on there where it's like, all right, who are your beneficiaries or who is the beneficiary? And you have to put in some kind of contact information that will go out to who the person is to let them know, like, hey, you've been added in as a beneficiary for this person's stuff, right? And arguably, I mean, it makes more sense, but it also highlights that we are not too far from that maturity level of where these exchanges are going to end up offering a will function of like, well, who do you want this stuff to go to when something happens? Which again, I arguably say this should have been something that should have been like on the function options like a while ago, because you had high net worth individuals in the space for how long? And if anybody remembers, what is the lawyer's name? It was Andreas Antonopoulos' person. I can't remember her name right now, but I met her, I think, when I was in Chile. I got the book, and the book was basically talking about like, hey, the space is so new, we don't have regulatory framework to deal with what happens when you have like 5 wallets and like one's a cold storage, one's a hot wallet, one's like a steel wallet, and what does the family know what to do about this? Or like, how do they know how to access it? Or how do they know how to transfer your funds? Or who has legal standing over if something happens to you? Because it was so new when folks were going through like separation and divorce cases at the earlier stages. So we talking like the 2014 to 20, no, it's not 14. Let's say like 15 into 18. Hey, well, he has crypto, and I know he has a wallet. I just don't know what the wallet is. All right, well, how y'all gonna figure that out? He's not giving up the documentation of account that was, or whatever exchange they was on. Now, granted, it is way easier now to figure out what exchange somebody was dealing with, especially if it was a centralized exchange, or if it was a centralized exchange posing as a DeFi exchange, right? It's way easier now. I just got to look at your bank statements and see where you were transferring the money to. And it's like, oh, okay, that exchange. All right, bet, boom. We can hit them with the subpoena. They need to provide blah, blah, blah in relation to this person's or account user, right? And then there you go. Like, all right, well, we found out you have this much, couple of, you got a couple of racks in there. You need to hand that over to the ex-partner, or you need to sell off that asset in order to pay out to your partner. But it's still a wild gray area because you don't necessarily have any regulatory framework that deals with this asset in relation to like wills and like dealing with probate and like the what happens when the state or the federal comes in and says, well, this person had a debt with us for blah blah blah. Who's in the order? Who's in the lineup to get paid out? The kids, the spouse, the 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 cousin, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this to me should have been something that should have been talked about more and offered definitely way earlier than right now. But I see how it shows a sign of, yes, the maturing of the space is happening. Also, like, can we do a thumbs up, a like, and do note, I actually have my own channel that is called Trek with 2Ks. If you can give a thumbs up on that one too, or a like, I would appreciate it. Yeah. Oh shoot, that's not what I needed it to do. Yes, great. So yeah, um, wanted to bring that up about this good idea that CZ had, and I'm definitely curious as to why it hasn't been pushed out in the crypto space more. Um, Shout outs to Wendy O. She had posed this question the other day, and I seen it, and it's like, what happens when all the companies buy all the crypto and keep taking out debt on it, which it's already one of the uh, common business practices for financial institutions to get a thing and then leverage it. So when you have traditional businesses that may be crypto focused do that, what do you think is going to happen when non-crypto businesses get in the space to be able to say, all right, we've acquired X amount of like these major um dollar valued cryptos. So of course everyone's talking about Bitcoin right now, but I imagine in another like 2-3 years, it's not gonna just be oh well, blah 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 has a reserve of Bitcoin. It's gonna be like, well, this company has a reserve of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and like name one or two of whatever the stable coins are going to be in another 5 years, right? But the bigger part of they're a business, and as we see how businesses work now for expansion, for leveraging, for being able to like say, well, look, we're a big company and we're in the green or in the black right now because not only are we like possibly making money where we have a revenue because our products are selling and we're not selling at loss or whatever, but we have this reserve backing and it's this crypto thing and the crypto makes money. It's not, what do they call it, like dead money or dumb money, where the money or that capital isn't just sitting still. Like that's the argument against gold, right? Gold just sits still. If you have your money quote in the bank and it's not in some kind of investment tool, then that's like considered dumb money. It's going to be the same pattern of behavior when it comes to this crypto thing. And when these what we count now as traditional crypto companies get more, oh well, everyone does it, or like everyone has crypto now, it's going to be the same thing with the non like crypto companies. Like they're going to get it on their asset sheet and then they're going to leverage it out, and the price is going to do the craziness that it does, right? And then they'll stable out. But the bigger issue is that somewhere down the road we will have a bubble as it relates to the crypto space, as it relates to um, crypto as a financial debt instrument, which again, considering how the business world moves, especially in terms of like the financial um, um, thought process, that's just like the natural course of how everyone moves eventually. And so down the road, that's what we're going to have happen. It's going to be an issue. But for right now, everyone's going to be cool with it because, oh, we making money. Oh, we have more value. Oh, look at the price. And that's what everyone's going to point out to you. Oh, look at the price. The price is 200,000. The price is 500,000. Oh my God, we could probably make 1 million in like, another 3 years. Bitcoin's going to reach blah, blah, blah. That's what everyone's going to sell to you. So making derivatives is a good thing because it means that the USD evaluation is going to go higher, which is a good thing. But in actuality, it's a double-edged sword in that, yes, the dollar value amount is going up, but that also means that the um the um the dollar as a as a medium of exchange, or what is it? The purchasing. What's the other word I'm looking for? Nonetheless, it means that the buying power of the dollar is going down. Like, that's the double-edged nature of it. It's just like how stocks are. Like, it sounds great that the stock value went up $300, right? So you had it where it was like, oh, well, I bought it when it was like $5 and now it's 125. Cool. It sounds cool on paper. It sounds great when you brag it to your peoples, right? Oh yeah, man. Like, I definitely I got the bag, I went up. The question is, did you exit with that monetary amount? Because if you didn't exit with it, thank you, purchasing power. I appreciate perspective. 24 entities now have BTC as part of their. Hey, what's going on? E, yep, I appreciate. Um, yeah, but even in that, like, I'm gonna add this so y'all can see what I'm seeing on the other platforms. Because right now it's going off of Twitch. What's the other one? It's Twitch. It's Twitter, YouTube, and yeah. So 2 YouTube channels, Twitch, Twitter, and that's where we are right now. But anywho, my point of where I'm going with all of this is that we're going to see more companies do this thing, and we already have it now that with Coinbase on the S&P 500, which they were making this over on Professor G's joint YouTube channel, about how, like, if you didn't care for crypto before, or you didn't want to touch any type of crypto before, you now just don't have the option, because if you're in the S&P 500, that is now a part of the S&P 500, and you can't distinguish it of like, oh, well, I only want to deal with this part of the S&P 500 versus, that crypto part, which arguably, again, it shows a sign of maturity of crypto moving into the mainstream. Some of us are happy about it. Some of us are not. Some of us are just, all right, well, we'll go through these growing pains and it's going to be what it's going to be, right? But yeah, what does happen after all of these companies start buying it up? And I'm gonna get into what. So the companies. Wait, let me get to this next joint. I'm gonna back to this Reggie post right here, because it also relates to this Caitlin Long post. But where's the other one at? No, it wasn't that one. Was it? I'm gonna come back to this other Caitlin Long post too. Where's the one that I say? Okay, so man, I forgot the thought process I had just now. I hate when I be thinking and then I'm like trying to find the next word or like piecing it together, and then I got distracted with looking at the different things. All right, so you know what? Let's just jump to the Reggie post. So this was about Coinbase Inc.'s deal with USDC stablecoin used as collateral. Again, like, we talking about these derivatives, right? Everything is about, when you start getting into that financial realm, it's like, well, you can't just have the asset sitting there and not do something. It has to have some kind of action that earns you another value on top of it, right? That's how we argue this out in the space, as far as like financial literacy and like financial what is this, financial intelligence. Like, you don't just have your assets sit there and not do stuff, whether you're talking about in like a real estate thing, or whether you're talking about in like precious metals, whether you're talking about in crypto, because then everybody looks at you like, oh, well, you're not being smart about it. That's not the financially astute thing to do. But that's where we are right now, right? So everyone's expected to have some level of financial stewardness, not stewardness, studiousness. and follow like the not the rules, but follow the best common practices, right? And so, as far as how we understand the traditional finance world now, that's what you're supposed to do. Use your capital to make you extra capital. You just can't have it sit there. So you have to reinvest it or figure out how to loan it out or like figure out how to make sure that you getting more than its regular value if it just sat there. But on the stablecoin thing, is this going to be a good thing? Is this going to be a bad thing? Like we're seeing that different aspects of the crypto space are evolving or maturing, better word, maturing into everyday society and following like pretty much like the traditional financial logic, right? Um I'm kind of more surprised, but not surprised that USDC got that first versus USTD because what is it? Circle just did their thing about going IPO. They 100% quote like US, um, and so like that's more of a all right. This is all within our kind of borders thing. I'm assuming Coinbase thought this was the more surefire deal in terms of it's going to be less headache than if we try to do something with Tether because Tether's making a hell of a run right now in Southeast Asia. So arguably, in my mind, I guess it would make more sense that this deal would have worked out this way. Again, don't confuse this as me telling you um what financial education, yeah, thank you. Um what to do with your funds or like this is the better deal or this is not what I'm saying. I'm just giving you my thought process for as I roll through Twitter, here are the things that scratch my brain and how some things make sense to me and some things don't make sense to me. Hopefully, if you do take any action, you are doing 100% of your due diligence because as we have seen time and time again, America in the various aspects of whether you talk about like the administration, the this particular department, like Department of Treasury or the Federal Reserve, or Department of Agriculture or the IRS, like they can say one thing and do something totally left field next week where you're just like, wait, but didn't y'all just have a press release that said blah blah blah? And none of that shit matters. Like press release, um, public announcement, none of it matters. But that's where we are right now. And so I bring that to this other post, and this was a Caitlin Long. She talks about the whole thing with Bitcoin mining. I think patents in Bitcoin mining are a battleground. Just wait until patents in stable coins become a battleground. The battleground. Position your stake out long ago. Positions were staked out long ago. Yep. Even for many TradeFi institutions who back then were joking about stablecoin technology being just being a passing fad. So to her point, like I think she's right on that as far as I probably have some listener too. I need to reach out to ask this question to about if there's any new technology that is coming out within the mining space. I mean, aside from the thing of like making ASICs better, more efficient, um, energy calculation machines. You see, like in terms of like the patent thing, and she taps into the stablecoin thing because she sees like, at least for her position of where she's in, and what she's looking to do with what, oh god, I cannot is it custodian? I forget the name of what her institution is called right now, but um I imagine she's been in some conversations that have her going, okay, yeah, there's more footwork going on with companies that may be non-crypto related looking to move over into the space more, and as she says, the TradFi folks looking to move in. I don't even know which one that is. um I'm Yeah, I'm not gonna, well, y'all see what it says in the comments, right? um if you're, looking to find some stuff, it's some smart folks in these comments. Not even gonna lie, we got some smart folks out here. Uh, and it's definitely been folks who've been paying way more attention to the little micro movements of things in comparison to me. I just know that prices go up and prices go down. And what do they say? Markets can stay longer unstable than you can wait for them to be stable. I totally messed up that saying, but there's a whole thing about like who has the longer patience, you or the market. And usually the market will outlast you in price fluctuation or price or like the chaos of the market before it will get stable for you to make yourself whole. Thank you. Yeah. Custodian. Okay. Custodian bank. So, yeah, I imagine she's in conversations that like it's becoming more apparent to her on like who's moving where. But I still get back to the point of like, arguably, this is a monkey see, monkey do thing. And at the end of the day, it's just like, I think that the patents, that's going to be, it's going to be the battlefield playground thing that she's talking about. But like, as far as who makes it or establishes a lasting position, like trying to come into it now, and I could be way, 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 way wrong on this, but trying to come into the space now. Hey, I got, all right. I'm gonna come back to you. I'm gonna come back to you. What's up? I'm gonna come back to you about the do 214, bro. But so like, as I was saying, like looking at what's going on now, right? USDC just did the IPO thing, and King brought this up the other day, and it was the same thing I had said before. X amount of the big boys are getting out of it because it's like, all right, we did what we needed to do. We made our money. All right, we're moving on to the next thing. And then now they're just going to throw this out to the public and be like, okay, y'all could do what y'all going to do with it because it's not going to make the money that it was making before it went IPO. Because at this point, it's just going to be a part of a like, it will arguably be just a regular, how to say this, like a regular financial instrument in terms of purchasing power. It's not going to be making the moves like it was making back in like 2017 or 18, right? So where your coin value could be 18, but because of how it was pegged to the USD, and let's say that it went up to be like $1.02, now your value is like $18 and what's that, 36 cents, right? It's a, wait, what we get? Juice. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like they already squeezed out the main juice out of it. And so this whole thing of like bringing it out to the public, that's on the like, all right, well, we ain't worried about this anymore. We off to the next thing. But to my other point of what I'm trying to say about the stablecoin space is that like like USDT has already done a large amount of the footwork in the international markets. So you have what's going on at like the nation state level where they're making those connections and deals, and then you have what is going on just organically with the market, where when you go into certain regions and you're like, oh, well, I got Bitcoin and let me try to sell or trade or do blah, blah, blah with it. They're like, well, if you got some tether, like we'll take that a lot quicker than we'll take this Bitcoin. Imagine what that's going to look like in another 5 years. And then on the other part of like, you have all of these patents going on here, but what is that going to mean in the international market? What is that going to mean in terms of adoption, right? Because nobody necessarily pays attention to the tech part. Like we've definitely learned that over the years. Like the tech only gets so much of the light for how the innovation and the adoption works of that technology, of that use case. Bitcoin has shown us this, Ethereum has shown us this. Name one of the other new age joints that has shown us in order for the mass adoption thing um to 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 really go and stabilize out, like no one, what is it, the majority of the user base doesn't pay attention to the actual tech behind it. They're just looking at the use case part of it, which is the front end. Does it make sense for what their operational environment is? And again, I'm kind of at a loss as to like, well, what new stablecoin tech can you patent? Like, it's either you're going to try to patent some way that the stablecoin is used, because I can't see how you're going to patent a new type of stablecoin on the tech side, because pretty much, and it's not to say that there can't be some new innovation like technology wise, but for where we are right now, this shit is pretty like established right now. So what new thing are you going to come up with? I don't know. But I'll be curious to see what this looks like in another like 3 to 5, maybe. And even too, like the Bitcoin mining thing, I would argue there'd probably be more of a development in the Bitcoin mining than there would be in the stable coins, because like the technology development on the hardware makes more sense there than it does to me for the code that works to make a stable coin work. But that's just how it's working in my head right now. Not the super techie guy. I'm not a coder. I'm just saying, in my mind, it kind of makes more sense that way. What'd you say? Give way to being in Wisconsin, having in front of people who Oh, 100%, bro. 100%. 100%. Like, and then oh god, I seen something the other day that was talking about how we might have a repeat on the precious metals thing, where it's just like, if you have any type of precious metals that's not like um the what do they call them? It's either a certain year, or they gotta be like the American eagle, or the American for the silver, the gold, and something else. And that would like kind of arguably be where the stable coins get used to like fleece people out of the asset, out of the hard asset item. So whether we talking quote the Bitcoin is or is a BTC, not Bitcoin Jesus version, not correct right version, and then the same thing on the precious metals. If you got one of those like aftermarket joints, or you got like some what I forget what the Russian version of like the Silver Eagle and all of that is, but like if it ain't American, you're gonna be shit out of luck. It's a whole like craziness going on right now out there. All right, so this was the other joint that I seen by Caitlin Long that also caught my attention because then I seen another story that had me like, I wonder like when did like what was the order of when this deal got put together, right? So hold on, take that one off. Yep, they are. Yes, like 19. Yeah, it's like pre 1933. Yeah. Um. So in regards to this joint about Kraken moving into Wyoming, so what is it? It's like I think 2 to 3 states that are like known for tech related businesses to do their registration there. So that's Delaware, Utah, and I forget where the other place was, but like Wyoming has definitely seemingly been moving up the ranks as far as crypto related companies. And granted, well, I honestly I think it's more of a she's not doing the interview circuit like that, and she's more just like dropping stuff out through Twitter. So if you're paying attention to her account as far as you're following it, or you might just check in, like she definitely posts like weekly wise. She drops a number of posts during the week, and X amount of it is from that perspective of she sees what's going on the financial in the financial realm and how the crypto stuff is being more and more in the conversation in different aspects. So again, case in point, like Kraken is an exchange, Kraken is a financial business, and it's moving to Wyoming as its headquarters. Like, really? Like, who remembers during COVID when everyone was talking about how Miami was going to be the new Wall Street? Like, there were more cows in Wyoming than people in the whole state. Okay, and don't forget, like the other argument of crypto exchanges are supposed to be like the quote new banks. Like, so here we have it now that one of the OG exchanges, at least for the American market, has moved their flag to be like, hey, we're here in Wyoming. What does this mean down the road? I don't know exactly, but there is another story, and I'm gonna come back to this one that will connect with this. Which one is it? It's not that. It is this joint. Wyoming Stable Token Commission targets August 2025 launch for its YST stablecoin at Wyoming Blockchain Symposium in Jackson. So I don't know if what you call it is going to be one of them. Where's the other one? There was another. This was it. This story. Yes. Okay. Boom. This story that had caught my attention. Again, what's my brain? I'm gonna come back to that Wyoming stablecoin thing. But so Solana-based U.S. public company DeFi Development Corp, formerly Janover, announced it will tokenize its shares via partnership with crypto exchange Kraken using Xstock's platform developed by Backed. Kraken has previously revealed plans to offer tokenized versions of U.S. stocks like Apple, Tesla, blah blah blah. Right. So I'll be honest, I don't know who X stock is. Yes, yes. Wall Street South. Yes. Um so I seen this and it was just like, oh wow, that's crazy. Like so the announcement comes out that you guys are relocating the headquarters and like I guess changing the registration with it, or the registration already changed and now it's just to relocate, which also means that for the people who were working in the office, and I don't know where the headquarters office was now, but now y'all gotta move to Wyoming? What? Like again, there's more cows in Wyoming than there are people. That is 100% fact. I've been there. Great grass looking place. It's like landscape wise, if you like the outdoors, Wyoming, nice place. Great elevation, just great skies, all of it. But it's more people than there. It's more cows than there are people. I don't know. I think I'd be kind of mad if I had to relocate to Wyoming if I was living in like a major city area or like not too far from a major city. And they're like, yeah, so we're gonna transition over to blah blah blah, which is funny. I forgot who it was it Intel or was it either Microsoft? Somebody's doing this thing with theirs where they're like, hey, because remember during the whole C19 thing, we had it that remote work was gonna be the thing. And I'm honestly still in this little rant right now from Eli, the computer guy. And so he brought this up the other day where remote work was going to be the new way of how business was done. And then all of a sudden we got back to this thing of, hey, bring your ass back in the office or else. And various companies, especially on the tech side, were trying to find ways of bringing people back into the office. We'll offer you more money. That didn't work. Now we're going to make it consequences. And people was just like, all right, well, I don't want to take the money if I got to come into the office 3 days a week because I don't want to come into the office no days a week. And then we started getting into the threats. If you don't come back into the office, then the position won't be there for you. And now what they're looking to do is you need to relocate to one of these areas that puts you in a closer proximity to a office space. It's not like you got to go back to the headquarters, but we'll tell you like you got these 3 to 4 different city locations. So you could be in like Minnesota and they're like, yo, you got to move over to Denver or you got to move over to like North Carolina or you got to go out to like Las Vegas or let's say LA. Here you are in Mississippi or you are like Sleepy Eye, Minnesota, or like you out in like North Dakota, and now you got to go halfway across the country. But the tactic is to get people to quit versus getting fired. Like that's what we're gonna see go. Like a lot of tech folks are gonna get laid off in these coming months, and they're telling us about it now. And just think about this: before we know it, summer's gonna be over, and we're gonna be in the holiday season. Folks are not going to have a job in the holiday season, and they already was doing the financial game of keeping up with the Joneses using their credit cards from last year and the year before. Imagine how crazy and topsy-turvy it's going to be later in this year. And don't forget, we just coming on near 6 months with the current administration. How crazy do you think it's going to look when we get to Thanksgiving and Christmas and the New Year's? Like I I was talking to one of my coworkers. I'm going off on a tangent, y'all. I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day, and I was telling him like we in a different position um, for how there's a certain level of in insulation we have for what we do and the organization that we do it with. And so like when I hear these different reports and you see the stories on like, oh, like this company is about to cut like 5% of its workforce. And then you find out that 5% of the workforce is like 2,000 plus people. It's like, well, damn, that's gonna be wild. Like I'm so sorry to hear that for folks. But I look at the situation I'm in and I'm just like, but I'm not in that scenario of where like, all right, we can be cut that way. It's a good thing, yet it's a bad thing because I also look at it and go, I know at least for the rest of this administration, I can't go jumping outside of the organization. Why? Because if I go outside of the organization, there's a certain level of installation and security that I would 100% lose because it's a wild card out there right now. We already went through the situation with Doge, and now we just having the other things happen within the regular, like non-federal side of the job market, that the industries, whether we talking tech, non-tech, the financial, non-financial, manufacturing, whatever, they're going through what they're going through because the economy is just fucking being wonky right now. It's messed up, and I just be thankful that I got like my head out of my ass and I started taking some corrective action when I really needed to, and my back was kind of against the wall on certain things. And like now I'm in this situation, which I don't have a certain level of stress compared to some of the folks out there who are going through things now. Like I got a homegirl who was working for a notable company within the space, and like she was doing a-okay. She was on the compliance side of their stuff, and it was a crypto related company, and they gave her that pink slip. She definitely was making more than me, but I'm okay because I have a different level of security in comparison to folks who are in other like areas or verticals or industries, um that, like I wish I would have jumped in sooner, or I wish I would have been able to blah blah blah. And now I'm just like, all right, like life is taking me where it's taking me, and I've gotten this part worked out. Granted, again, I'm not out here being a crypto bro. I'm not out here super balling and stuff. But like, yeah, it's something out here right now, and sometimes you gotta like stay in place. Big facts, big facts. Right. Oh, and then you know what's another story? All right, I'm off on another tangent, and I'm gonna hit like one or two more of these actual like Twitter joints, and then I'm done. Um, no one is talking about how the tech bros, like um, the dude from PayPal, Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook, Palantir, is it Palantir or Palantin? Y'all, if on the gang side, or you federal, like who I'm talking about as far as the Palestine thing. Like they literally commissioned all of the head dudes to be officers in the reserve. The reserve is Compo 3. They fall under the federal. Like they're a more direct line to the federal government. So it's like active military, reserve, and then the National Guard is like state, but then with certain actions, thank you, Bush 2, the National Guard can be like controlled at the federal level. But nonetheless, the bigger thing is that these mofos got um commissioned in, what was this, like a week or two ago? And they are lieutenant colonels. Like it wasn't even like they could like, yo, we'll make y'all, you know, second lieutenants, and then you'll work your way up the rank chain. You'll be a captain, and you'll be a major. No, they are lieutenant colonels off the break, and it's like a whole separate new, um, I don't want to say division that they made for them, but it is a new what is going on? Oh, okay, is that what's, I don't know which side I'm seeing on. Sorry. So I'm at the chat on, yes. Yes. They made them like, and I and you can't even call it field officers because they weren't downrange. And I don't understand why aren't more people talking about the foolishness of this. Um, but yeah, I'm looking at between both of um, the chats. So the restream chat is different than the YouTube chat because the restream chat is supposed to have like all of the channels together. What do you say? I'm coming from. Bruh, the part that you said about like the rock, like don't rock the boat, save the money, shelter. Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, it's not active. They're not active. It is specifically a new reserve unit that they stood up just for them, and they're supposed to focus on like AI and like some technology aspect. Yeah, like when I tell you it again. Shout outs to Eli the computer guy because it was on his channel that I heard about it, and I was just like, wait, what? Like how like whose idea was this? Who in the DOD was like, you know what we should do? Or like which one of them went to the other one was like, hey, we could probably get commissioned. And if we get commissioned, like we might end up starting out as like captains or majors. But I like was it even in their wildest dreams to be like, yo, we're gonna be lieutenant colonels? Like, what the fuck, man? Like this is where we are. This is where we are right now. Like people who have no military bearing or understand military doctrine. And I'm not over here saying like we the A1s and whatever, but like put this in perspective. They literally just did a swearing in. They didn't go through none of the training. And granted, officer training is different than like enlisted training. I highly doubt they did any of the actual readings of like historical events that go like, all right, like here's why we do certain things as far as doctrine, blah blah blah, or like any of the like let's get you to at least understand X amount of military doctrine. And so it's just like, what are these folks like? I don't. There's so many more questions I have to it, and it's gonna definitely distract me to even start thinking about that shit even more. But anywho, uh, other story to throw on the fire is the state of Texas is about to trade. Anywho, let me say it this way: Texas is buying $10 million Bitcoin for the state reserve, and then apparently they're doing this legislation, this companion bill called HB 4488, that ensures that the Bitcoin is separated from the state's general revenue. Um, bad, bad, tested, unproven. Big facts, bro. Big facts. And those are the type of folks that are not going to go anywhere near the front line at all. Like, but it is what it is. Like this is where things are going. But yeah, in regards to this Texas thing, um apparently Rhode Island is also working on something too for having like their no, actually that's a separate thing. I'm gonna get into that one in a minute. But like this is the stuff that's being put out right now. Again, showing that there is more adoption happening. And I said this how long ago? I said you're going to see federal things, you're going to see things in relation to the states, and you're going to see things in relation to the counties, and you're going to see things in relation to the cities. And like everyone's going to look to like hungry hippos and get their piece of the pie that makes sense for the level that they're at. Federal, state, city, county, um, That's what we're seeing as we go through this maturing of crypto and its adoption into quote mass adoption, reaching the tipping point. The legal framework stuff, right? How are we going to deal with it where everyone gets their piece of the pie? And we're not talking about the citizens of these cities, states, counties, the country. We're talking about like the regulatory body of it. Yeah, but I'm curious on how is it that they had to make a separate like a separate bill to specifically note like, hey, don't mix it with the general state revenue. I don't know, and I wonder if other states have this same thing too. What was the other one that had got my attention? It wasn't yeah. Well, the Wyoming stablecoin thing too, which then makes so think of this. Think of this. Just like how back in 20 like 14, 13, we went through that phase of where all of a sudden everyone wanted to run out and do their own version of a crypto, right? So it was like, all right, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna have mines, and mines is gonna be Blue Coin Magic. Oh, I'm gonna have mines, and mine's gonna be We the People. Like the stable coins are going to run through that same phase, but through the states and arguably through the corporations. But I still see the same issue is how are you going to work out the adoption? Because you're competing with the already established entities in the space. So I would argue the bell curve on it is going to be way shorter than how it worked out in the general crypto space, where like we had to go through near 10 years of like 2,500 different cryptos, 3,000 different cryptos, and then now we're at like, oh well, like yeah, there's a bunch of meme coins, shit coins, um, and things, but like we know that as far as the core functional stuff, you're talking about like less than 10% of what is out there in the crypto space has enough community and actual function in terms of like it doesn't have any crazy swings or slippage or like there's enough businesses or institutions that are dealing with these specific things. So sad to say, Solana is one of those examples right now. But we know about Bitcoin, we know about Ethereum. I'm really surprised on how like we don't hear shit about Litecoin anymore. And Litecoin was like one of the originals. But nonetheless, I think we're gonna see the not adoption, but the running up or the expansion of stable coins through the corporations and through the states. And then there's going to be a cool down period that's going to be way shorter than how the general crypto space worked because they're just not going to be able to compete with the more established brands or established players in the space. I should say it that way. What was the other one? Oh, this was the thing about Rhode Island. Rhode Island. So okay, let me tell y'all how this actually worked out. So I saw this post first. If you've been following me, I'm not a fan of this lady because I think that her throwing in of her the short of it is I'm not a fan of her because I don't think that her way how she looks at the space is in line with how I understood the space back in the day. Which obviously, again, I'm in Unk status right now, so like I'm an old head, right? But nonetheless, she does make the point about like, hey, we need to get the on the national level, like this IRS, to really start doing something that makes more sense with how the tax burden of doing Bitcoin or any crypto for that matter right now shouldn't be what it is. And within this post, there was this post from this person, Andrew Biggin, talking about what they're doing in Rhode Island, which I guess we'll see how this plays out. Shout outs to Rhode Island for doing what they do. So, uh, that would be a possible. It would make sense. I mean, look, like Texas already, though, they already have their whole thing about the precious metals and like how that works in their financial setup. Um, so yeah, this could be them hedging on. Like we have in one side, we have the precious metals of gold and silver, and on the other side, we're gonna do this Bitcoin thing, and like 10 million in one drop, though. I don't know how that's gonna mess with the price because I'm also curious, like, who are they going through for that? That actually, yeah, that's my question. Who are they going through for that? Are they going to the exchanges? Are they buying off of like the U.S. Marshals or somebody, or like the Treasury Department, or I don't know if DOJ holds who stuff um they let's say acquire, but um yeah, like I'm wondering who's facilitating that now. Now that makes me wonder. But this other story right here also caught my attention, and I seen it on somebody else's thing, but I went with Max because I've met Max and I've talked to Max, and he's like more of a crypto person. So I was like, okay, if Max brought this up, I wonder, right? So basically, Max says the what if the U.S. was using nukes to nuke weapons story to cover uh, to hit Iran's BTC mining facilities. If you don't know, like the oil, not oil, the energy thing, the way energy consumption works out in the Middle East is very different than how we understand the West or how it is set up within like Southeast Asia as far as like a Korea, South Korea, or like um, um, Japan, in comparison to like uh, 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 a Singapore or a China, and that out in the Middle East, like if you can find that power source and hook up, depending on where you are, nobody's coming to check why did the power requirement just triple or like quadruple out, right? So you have it that like folks, and this is, and I didn't find this out until like after I left Kuwait, and this is back in 2016, 17. But folks was setting up stuff out in Kuwait in Arifjan. Um, it was whole buildings that was set up for mining stuff, right? Again, like the way that we regulate the power set up here in the States, it's a whole different animal over there. It's a whole different animal. And so the reason why this particular post was brought up, and this is more out to the folks who pay attention to the Bitcoin hash rate and the mining stuff, like it is a question on like, wow, it was really crazy how when the bombing strike happened, the hash rate kind of dropped, like what's going on. And again, I didn't even look to see what like the Bitcoin hash rate thing was, um and how it was showing out for like the different regions. I honestly didn't think of it at the time. I just saw this post today and it was like, huh, maybe that could be a question. More than likely in my mind, it was more of a like a coincidental thing that happened. um I'll be honest, I don't know which of the countries has the larger um setups. So it might be that like Iran has a larger setup than Iraq does, or than Kuwait does, or than like Qatar does, or than does Saudi Arabia or the UAE. But in that whole region, in each one of those places I just named, is people running mining rigs. There's no question about that part of it. But is the setup or are the facilities, or how to say this, even with, let's say, half of the facilities getting messed up because they were disconnected from the power because of wherever the bombing rays landed and how the proximity of where they were, is it enough for it to show up within the larger metrics? I don't think so. But again, Max knows more than me. He's been around this space and knows a lot more folks than me, and was one of those like, there could be a level of validity to it. But in all honesty, I don't think it is. Um, until someone can actually like validate for me the size of the mining facilities in each one of those different countries, I, I question it. It's more just so of a coincidence or a coinkydink, right? What do you say? Welcome to violation. It's just a question before I move there. Okay, you funny man. Um, great state of Texas. A wee bit of cyanide. Plans I've read that they're gonna start snatching BTC. Oh, this is already a thing though. This is already a thing everywhere. If you did a criminal thing, if you did a criminal offense and the AG of the state finds out, and especially if it's a certain dollar amount, the feds is automatically coming in you. Like if you did a fed related level, the feds automatically coming in on you. And then there's gonna be that disputable who's gonna hold the crypto. Like, oh, it was a story or two I covered. I think it was like 2 weeks back, maybe 3 weeks back on no, I didn't even do the story. I didn't bring up the story, but basically um some guy had got charged with like it was money laundering and something else, but they were saying like, "Oh, well, he was connected to, it was either a Russian entity or it was either like China somehow." I think it was more of the Russia thing. But the way that the story was argued, and I went to I think it was the Department of Justice, and I went to their site. But and the way they listed it out is it's like, this sounds more like you found somebody who was like low level on the totem pole, and y'all just prosecuted the shit out of him because you were able to reach him. But this person doesn't really matter, and what you're saying, and what you're portraying, the conspiracy of what you're saying that they did. Like, I don't know. That was just my take on how I read it. But yeah, like the idea that if you did anything criminal related, and that's gonna be like, all right, that is the creep of the expansion of how do you get people's crypto. That's the creep of it. and in that, if you set the legal frameworks and have the tools available in criminal cases first, it will eventually carry over into civil cases. It will eventually carry over into things like divorce court in a more like um um best practice kind of situation, in a more like, this is the standard way of, oh well, we just use blah 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 to access all of the person's financial transactions, and then we know where the things have gone. Like right now, it's X amount of a quote guessing game, depending on like what agency you work for, what level of access you have in terms of like, do you understand who to call if you're saying, well, my law firm defends blah blah blah, or my law firm does X, Y, and Z in high value cases. Let me call Coinbase or let me call Chainalysis and be like, well, how much would it cost for this, that, and the third? Or you go to one of the other exchanges and just hit the exchange and be like, all right, we're trying to do this. How much would it cost for us to get a compliance person from your department? Or you just start poaching. How about that? Bam. You just start poaching these exchanges and be like, I'm, because you already have like, oh god, I forgot what Antonio's official like title is, but like he has the tech background to understand how to look through financial records, and then he's also worked to start his own um 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 crypto exchange in New York. So he understands both sides of this world. But like I'm surprised that there aren't more law firms. Um yes, article is lacking. I was lacking. Wait, what? Questions before I move it. Yeah, definitely do that. Um, here's the article is lacking. Sorry, I'm over here reading the comments, whatever. But yeah. So like, if you're somebody who knows crypto stuff and you understand X amount of the compliance regulatory stuff, like I'm surprised there aren't more law firms trying to find the techie people who understand compliance more, because this is only going to expand more. Like even on like the AG side, like no, that's not the company. It's a whole different company. Um, they're they're not officially launched, and I got to catch up with him because I haven't talked to him in like maybe 6 9 months, and so I don't even know where they are with stuff. But they had X amount of their groundwork already put together, and like I seen what the website looked like and stuff a while ago. But that's a whole nother conversation. Nonetheless, like job security, man. I'm surprised law firms aren't trying to find more techie, more crypto focused folks, because obviously this stuff is gonna expand within the criminal realm and then moving over into the civil things, like I said. But it also might just be easier for them to. That's gonna be a question. You know what? I gotta hit her up and be like, hey, like, can we go on record and talk? I gotta ask that question. Um, but yeah, uh, if you know what you know, maybe you can get your way in there. We'll see. Wait, what was that? I have no intention of breaking any laws. YouTube, I don't need to. Hey, I have no intention of breaking any laws either. I am not a criminal associated with any criminal types. To my best of knowledge, and as I say, like I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a tax person. I do know a tax person. His name is CJ, the smart guy, and he's a CPA. And if you are in this American jurisdiction, I always highly recommend doing your T's of cross. What is it? Dotting your T's and crossing your dotting your T's, crossing your T's and dotting your I's, because America is very petty when it comes to getting a cut, like point blank, bottom line. And listen, I'm over here ranting and raving. I'm tired, and oh god, I went on way longer than I thought I was gonna go. I'm calling it a day, folks. So yeah, calling it a day. Um, that's all I got for y'all today, man. I definitely went longer than I wanted to, and I definitely did more tangents than I was expecting. But hopefully something that you heard got you thinking, got you questioning what's going on with the space. Where are you in this space? And as I noted from last week's recording, I think it might have been you, Perspective, who had said something, but like in another couple of years, saying stuff like the crypto space is going to mean shit. It might have a whole different meaning or just might mean shit. Like you're gonna talk to somebody and they're gonna be like, the crypto space, what? What does that mean? Like I'm writing this little mini article over on LinkedIn, but like what is it? Hot Whips, Breakfast Club, and crypto space. What do they have in common? Those phrases had a particular meaning to a certain generation when they came out. Case in point, Hot Whips, in regards to how I'm using it right now, is that It was in the Damian Marley song. I forgot the song that he had, but he was like hot whips meant a whole different thing back in the day because he was talking about how the slave master would beat the slave with a hot whip. And nowadays, when we say hot whip, we mean, oh, this person has a fly car. That's a new a Hellcat or something, right? And then when you say Breakfast Club, and this happened to me at work, we talking about some stuff. One of my coworkers is like mad young in their 20s. My other guy says something, and then like we start laughing about it because the three of us like get it. But then my younger coworker is like, wait, what? What are you talking about? And it was like, wait, so you don't know the movie? What did you think when we met Breakfast Club? They was thinking of the radio show in New York for Hot 97 versus the movie from the 80s, which is what the reference was to. And then here you have the whole thing about the crypto space. As we reach through more maturity and adoption into the mainstream of the financial setups and regular life and blah, 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 globally speaking, saying the crypto space is going to mean what in 10 or 15 years? I mean, at that point, crypto's going to be in its what, latter 30, no, early 30s. That's more than a generation, folks. How long does it take for a phrasing or a word to morph in meaning? A generation or two? Just saying. Like it's crazy. I will be like the super elder at that point. Jesus Christ. Hey, I appreciate y'all for tapping in. I don't know if these numbers is real, but like I'm gonna accept it according to how Restream is showing it. Oh wow, majority of folks is on Twitter. That's wild. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all very much. That is interesting. I didn't know that. That's okay. Sorry. Like Restream has done some updates that you can see certain things now that I didn't know you could. I didn't know until just now that you could see because I swear you weren't able to like see the breakdown of what the channels were before, like where the viewership is coming from. Nah, bro. I don't need that. I don't need that at all. I honestly do not need that because you know why? And I've said this a couple months ago, and is gonna and I'm at this point now, like, well, yeah, I come on here and I talk about crypto stuff to y'all, right? And a matter of fact, in another what 2-3 months, I'm gonna be at the Black Blockchain Conference talking somewhat crypto stuff. But as far as like where I was in like 2015 or 2016, and hey, crypto, like, nah, bro, I'm not there. I'm not for it. Um, if you ask me stuff, I'm gonna tell you, but I'm not trying to. I'm at a point now where like putting it out there like how I was doing it back then. Like I'm literally just inching back into LinkedIn. I had a whole 2-3 year run of where I was posting on LinkedIn like 6 days of the week. And now I'm just like, all right, I'll drop these little mini article things for things that scratch my brain when I feel like it. And that's a here and there thing. But I'm inching back into it. Like I said, like I've been inching back into just doing the content stuff this year because I took off X amount of last year. And I'm slowly but surely, getting back in. But I'm still not at that point where it's just like, oh, I need to plaster it on everything that like has my handle on it. And I separate the handles too on top of that. I appreciate the encouragement though. I do. It's just I'm not where I was with it before, even though I still look to like give my perspective on things going on in this space. But nonetheless, I appreciate y'all. And I'm calling it a night. Well, that's a lot because I still gotta do some schoolwork. But I hope y'all had a good Monday. I hope y'all had as enjoyable of a weekend as I did, because I definitely enjoyed my weekend. even with all the craziness going on in the world, right? Um, and hopefully we make it to see y'all next week, and y'all tap in from there. And actually, let me cut this off because I'm actually curious on something right now. Yeah. So as I be saying, from one human to the next, I wish y'all to be in a safe place, in a safe space, in a good company, and that is the best that I can wish you. Yo, I hate how these platforms be out here trying to get the money. Like, bruh. Hey, Bitcoin Shango, I'm looking at a post you just did about my new gym equipment. All right, y'all. I'm so done. I'm out of this right now. I'm out of this. I appreciate y'all for tapping in, and hoping everyone has a good evening. And I hope to see y'all next week. And if something really scratches brain enough, maybe I will do something earlier in the week. But I got a lot of running around to do this week. I'm running through states and stuff. But anywho, adios, folks. I'm Trek with 2Ks.